When Mercedes were dominating the sport from 2014 until 2020, winning every single world championship on offer in that time period, they were the perfect team. They had the best car and the best driver in Lewis Hamilton at the wheel, but also had the right people behind the scenes to make the team so successful. They had a leader like Toto who would make sure that the team was always doing the right thing at the right time and that the car was always perfect. But they also were probably the best team on the grid for their strategy and pit stops and how they would get it perfect almost every single time. In Formula 1, when you are the fastest team, everyone else is praying for your downfall, and strategy was one way that Mercedes could lose a race. But they simply just wouldn't. The man who was behind all of the strategies for Mercedes from 2010 to 2022 was a man called James Vowles. However, he would leave the team at the end of the 2022 season to go off and join Williams to be their team principal for the foreseeable future as he closed that chapter at Mercedes. In today's video, we will touch a bit upon how good Vowles was at Mercedes, how the team may be affected massively by this major loss within their team, and how they could possibly finish ahead of Ferrari due to how the team structure is. Let's get right into it. To start off with, we are going to talk about how good Vowles is and how he may be a major loss for Mercedes, but a major gain for Williams. Vowles worked with Mercedes from their first year back in the sport all the way back in 2010 until 2022. So he has seen everything from the team and its progression of it. For the main amount of time whilst he was at Mercedes, he was the chief strategist, but then in 2019 he was promoted to the motorsport strategy director for all the hard work he had done in the years previous. He then, for a few years, would overlook not only the strategy, but other important aspects of the team, like any analysis of the car, showing how much faith Mercedes had in him. He would also be known for speaking over the team radio to drivers, and you probably have heard over the radio, "Valtteri, it's James." Well, that was Vowles, who would normally tell Bottas to let Lewis through most of the time. He would be able to talk over the team radio to both drivers if needed and provide them with the information regarding strategy. He simply was the man behind the race a lot of the time, and he may not be given as much credit, but he is one of the main reasons why Mercedes was so successful for such a long period of time, as we have never seen before. With Binotto being sacked from Ferrari at the end of the 2022 season, it kind of caused a team principal silly season where people would jump from team to team, with Jost Capito also leaving the sport, which meant that a gap would open up at Williams. He would decide to join the team then as a team principal, as this is kind of a big step up in a way. Yes, he is going from a top team like Mercedes to what is a team struggling at the back of the grid, but on a personal level, it is a major upgrade. He said that he wanted a new challenge, as he had been at Mercedes for 12 years, kind of doing the same job, and this opportunity doesn't come around often. Williams will have a calm head at the top of the team and make the right calls in the race, but also just to be that calm but experienced leader that everyone else can look up to and learn from. This is the main reason why this will for sure be a major loss for Mercedes, as they have lost someone they could have relied on, and now they have to find someone else to try and fill his shoes. Clearly, that is not just the thought of the fans, but Toto said this after his departure was announced. From a personal side, obviously James will be missed. I've been working closely with him for many years. From this, we can gather that Toto is worried now that his right-hand man when it comes to strategies is gone. Could they find someone on the same level or even better than Vowles? It will be very hard to do so. Guess we'll have to wait and see if it hurts them in the long run. Do you think that Vowles will be able to guide Williams back to where they belong, fighting at the front in the near future? Or will Mercedes actually benefit from this move, and will they improve? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Next up, we'll be touching upon how Mercedes could already be struggling with the exit of Vowles from the team in the third race of the 2023 season. The first two races for Mercedes were poor, but on the strategy front, they were not bad by any means. They seemed their normal self and did not make any Ferrari-type decisions. However, in Australia, you could make the point of them making their first error of the season when they boxed George Russell when the safety car came out for the first time. But the red flag was eventually brought out. You can make a point on this being an error on Mercedes' part, as there was a lot of gravel on the racing line, which meant that the marshals would have had to get on the track to clean it, so the red flag had to come out. Mercedes decided to keep Hamilton out so that he could keep track of position and stay on the same strategy, but they were quick to bring Russell in. This really did cost his race, as Hamilton and Verstappen would get a free pit stop and would not lose positions, whilst he dropped down into the midfield fight where it's so close and tight. Although it would not really matter if he didn't pit onto the first safety car before the red flag, as his engine would set fire, which meant that his race would be over anyhow. You could put a lot of blame on Mercedes for not just sticking to the strategy and keeping both of their drivers out until they were in the pit window. But you can understand how they did not know that the red flag would come out anyway, and many other drivers were surprised too. But that is Formula 1. Anything can happen, and you cannot predict anything at all. But what do you think about Mercedes' call to bring Russell in and bring Hamilton out? Was it the right call, but were they just unlucky? Or could this be the first signs of Vowles' exit causing them issues? Let us know what you think in the comments below. On to our final topic, which is whether could Mercedes finish ahead of Ferrari still, even if they make some strategic errors. We all know how bad Ferrari was with his strategies last year, and this year they seem to have got better, but they just do not have the car like we all expected, and their engines just seem to die on them every single race, or a driver is in the gravel. Mercedes, after Australia, seemed a lot more positive about the rest of the season, and they will be working hard in the factory to try and win races towards the second half of the season. Ferrari just looks like in every single race something will go wrong, like in Australia where they did not score any points at all. Their car is possibly the fourth best behind Red Bull, Aston Martin and Mercedes. They just don't seem to have improved one bit on last year, whereas others have gotten better. They came into this season with the goal of winning a championship, but already 3 races in, that seems to be out of the window already, and they will be happy with just being on the podium right now. For the rest of the season, the real fight at the top of the grid will be for that of P2 in the constructor standings, because if we're being honest, Red Bull already has both titles wrapped up, with Verstappen being on top of his game once again. It will be very interesting to see who can develop their car the best. Will it be Mercedes or Ferrari, or will Aston Martin do an even better job? I guess we'll have to find out as the season goes on. Thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this.